Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show. This is The Gutters, my audio journal. This is the Christmas and New Year's retrospective. I want to take this opportunity first to wish everyone a Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas and had a safe and fun New Year's as well. So as promised last time when I did my Thanksgiving notes for what's going on in my life, this is the Christmas time / New Year's look back at what I've been up to, what I did, and some things that I was entertained by, I guess. So first off, Christmas time. Wow, this year was weird, very strange for us. We did not have our girls with us, Madison and Gabby. They were with their other family. So it was just Kitra and myself on Christmas Day, and which is weird when you've been parents for a long time, as we have first with our first set of kids and now with the grandkids that we are raising. You forget how integral the kids are to Christmas time. And so yeah, it was very strange. And we decided also not to exchange gifts because money was tight this year, and so we didn't buy a whole lot, which is probably a good thing, really. But we wanted to wait to have Christmas with the girls, and also because there were other Christmases that we were planning on. So I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, we woke up and, let's see, I think I made Kitra breakfast, and essentially then we just packed up and went down, drove half an hour or so down to the valley where my dad lives, and we had Christmas dinner with him. But first we stopped by one of Kitra's, niece's place, because she on Facebook opened up her house to the whole family and invited everybody over to stop by and just spend some time with them, which I thought was really cool. I would never do that, which just proves what a curmudgeon I am. But I thought that was really sweet that Valerie did that. And anyway, so we stopped by there first, and got to spend some time with her and her family. And she has this little girl who is, I think, just over 1, and she's just adorable. And so for some reason, I'm kind of attached to this little girl, and so I got to hold her for a while. And then Kitra's like, "Okay, you ready to go?" Because we had to go, visit my dad, and I gave her this look like, "Do we really have to right now?" But we did. We left there, and we went to my dad's, and basically just kind of hung out for a few hours, which is not something that I get to do a whole lot. And so I very much appreciated that. My dad is not in great health, so anytime we get to spend with him is just a good time. And so yeah, we did that while we were there. Before I started making dinner, we started watching this movie. I'll get to that, but we started watching this Christmas movie. But then I had to get up and make dinner about halfway into the movie, so I kind of missed the middle part of it. But then we had a great time. We were probably there. Now it's several weeks on, and I think it was at least 4 hours, maybe almost 6 hours. So anywhere between 4 and 6 hours I spent with my dad, which was great. We had a great conversation about various things. That is what Christmas is to me. It's really not about the presents. It's just spending time with family. That's personally, that's what I get out of Christmas. Like I said, though, it was weird because we didn't have the girls. But we did the next day. Before I get to that, I should say, we stopped by, Kitra's brothers and, place afterwards, and we spent some time with them as well. We always do that if we're down in the valley. And this year, I guess last year was no exception. But the next day, we got up and drove north to pick up Maddie and Gabby and brought them home, and we had Christmas. So we actually had Christmas. I'm sorry. Boy, I'm getting my days mixed up. So after Christmas, it wasn't the next day. It was the Saturday after Christmas. So after the day after Christmas, or the 2 days after Christmas, we had to work, which sucked. Having a major holiday like that in the middle of the week is not my preference, especially since at work, there's so few people, at least at my place of work, there's so few people that are present because of the holidays. However, that did allow me to catch up on some work. So that was great. I'll get to work later. So that Saturday, we drove up to pick up Madison and Gabby, came home, had Christmas with them, which was nice. Let's see, what did I get for Christmas? My lovely wife got me an In-Stock Trades gift certificate, which I then used about a week later because of the events. It was probably a little more than a week, but I actually had forgotten about it until I was laying in bed one night and remembered, oh yeah, I need to go order some trades. So I did. I ordered the second volume of the Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes hardcover, which I had intended to buy a long time ago, but for some reason, again, I forgot for months, I think. And so I ordered that. I also ordered volumes 2 through 4 or 5, I forget now, of The Immortal Hulk. Got that, and there was something else that I'm blanking on at the moment. Anyway, so I had to order a few things to get that free shipping, that sweet free shipping from In-Stock Trades. I also Madison got me a carrying case for my podcast equipment. So it's just a plastic case with some foam in it, and you tear out the foam in the shape of the objects you want to put in there. So I have a place for my Zoom H4n recorder and a mic and the cords that go with the stuff. So now I could carry that around instead of in a backpack as I have been doing. And also I got something that's been long on my list, the Serenity Technical Manual, because I like those kind of things. And those are just some of the highlights. There's some other things too, but those are some of the geeky, for me, highlights. Anyway, so the next day was Sunday, December 29th. That was my birthday, my 51st birthday. I'm getting old, guys. Anyway, so we drove down to Boise to spend Christmas with my daughter and her family, which is always lovely. I love spending the holidays with my daughter. And now that she has her daughter, who is the lovely 2.5-year-old Hadley, that was very sweet. We had a great time. But we had dinner at this Indian restaurant. I'm forgetting the name of it now, but I love it. My family's not a big fan of Indian food, except for my daughter. Well, I guess, and her husband. We three like it, but the rest of the family does not. But it was so good. Some other presents I got the DC Implosion book, the 50-year mission oral history of Star Trek, compiled and written in part by Mark A. Altman of the Inglorious Treksperts podcast. So it's really thick too. It's going to be a long time before I finish that book probably. But I started it and I have to get to the DC Implosion. I got so many books that are on my to read list, that are not comic books. So one of these days, folks, when I retire, my daughter also got me this this metal mug that says, in case of emergency, ask Eric, #source of all wisdom. My daughter. I love her. But that was Monday. So, like I said, Sunday was my birthday. And then Monday we woke up and did Christmas with Hadley. And so she got to open up all her presents from us and the rest of the family. So that was lovely. Oh, I also got my daughter got me, a podcaster's t-shirt. I posted a picture of that on Twitter and Instagram. So I forget now what it says. But it says something like podcaster, noun, someone who talks about crap for a while, something like that. Anyway, I thought it was cute. And then we spent the next couple days, because they had the time off as well through New Year's, and we just spent the next couple days shopping. We took Madison shopping. She had some gift cards that she got for Christmas, so we went to a local mall there, a huge mall, and just generally hung out. We played games. We got this spur of the moment. I saw this card game, this trivia card game for Friends, the TV show Friends, and my daughter's a huge Friends fan, so we got that and we played that game with her. And of course, she cleaned up because no one else has watched the entire series of Friends as many times as she has. I mean, I've only watched the entire series once and some episodes multiple times. So really wasn't a fair game, but she enjoyed it. She had a lot of fun. And then we tried to play Phase 10 and it just got so late one of those nights. I think that was New Year's Eve that we did that. And it just got so late. I could not finish up. I was basically falling asleep as we were doing the game. So I went to bed. Did I mention I was 51, guys? Also, while we were there, we ate in. We went and bought a bunch of groceries and had the best couple meals that were really, really good. Through watching some YouTube videos to pass the time, we came across this, I think it's called Hot or Not. It's about so you got this host and then you bring on these celebrity people and they eat hot wings with increasing hotness of the sauce. And they are interviewed while this is going on. And some people handle it really well and other people, like this person, whom we got this recipe for, did not. So, but it's a bit entertaining, especially if you happen to like that person. So we were watching one, featuring Gordon Ramsay, and he was such a baby. Guy talks a big game, but he was a big baby. But he, revealed the recipe, a simple recipe for the best burger. And so we decided to try that recipe, and it was delicious. Now, I think perhaps a lot of it was the bacon onion jam that was not part of this recipe. That was a separate thing because my daughter and her husband are big fans of such things, and so we made that too. And that was fantastic. I want to try that again. That was probably one of the best burgers I've ever had. And it's just a hamburger and the seasonings that Gordon Ramsay recommended with a brioche bun and then that bacon onion jam. Like I said, that was really good. And then another night we bought some New York steaks because my daughter bought a couple new cookbooks and we were looking through those and there was this marinade. So John Legend, that singer, he had a marinade because his wife, Chrissy Teigen, I think that's who it is. It's her cookbook, and he had this marinade for steaks in there. And so we decided to try that, and that was delicious. And then we made for the first time I've ever done this, I made Hasselback potatoes, which is just a whole potato and you slice them into these thin slices halfway through and then put in some butter and some seasoning and stuff and bake them for an hour or so. Anyway, all good stuff. Oh, and roasted carrots. Oh my God. So good. So good. Anyway, so, I think on New Year's Day, we did a little more shopping because, places were open, having sales. And then we left, and it was a sad day because I always hate it when we visit my kid and have to go home. So we came back the day after New Year's, and my wife had to work the following day, that Friday, but I had taken that entire week off, and so I forget what I did. I did end up playing City of Heroes, the video game City of Heroes, with the kids over that weekend. So Friday and Saturday, I think I did. But Friday, I don't really remember what I did. I spent a lot of time in my office. I remember that. I think I'm just trying to clean stuff up. And then we just kind of, and then that weekend we just kind of hung out, me, my wife, and Maddie and Gabby, and we ended up watching a movie. I think probably a couple movies now that I think about it. Yeah, so that's been my holiday time frame. Speaking of movies, one of the movies that we watched together was Solo, a Star Wars movie. So I'm going to kind of do this in backwards order. So we watched Solo last, but then we watched a couple other movies while we were in the Boise area. But Solo was interesting. I don't know that we ever needed that movie, but it was kind of fun to watch. What it reminded me of was, so there's a scene in which Solo and some other characters, so if you haven't seen this, you don't want anything spoiled, I guess, skip ahead 30 seconds or so. But I'm not giving away anything major, but there is this train, basically it's a train heist scene. And I'm sitting there watching this, I'm going, oh my God, do you know what this is? I say to my wife, do you know what this is? She's like, no, what? I'm like, this is Serenity or Firefly. This is Firefly. Which is kind of weird. It's got this weird cyclical thing. Anyway, because Firefly has probably more to do with Star Wars than, say, Star Trek. And Mal, the character Mal in Firefly, is famously known. The inspiration for him is I think pretty famously known as Han Solo. So here's the character Han Solo in this movie, and he's being portrayed much like Mal was. And this is what Firefly came out in 2005, and here it is. Solo came out 2018. So a good almost decade and a half. I'm doing math on the fly. I know that's not right, but you know what I mean. So it's a very strange serendipitous moment for me, putting these two entertainment entities kind of squishing them together and going, oh look, there's some commonalities here. But anyway, we watched that. While we were down in Boise, we did go see a couple other movies. We did go see, so again, reverse order, we did go see Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. That we did on, the day after New Year's. Yeah, that's right, because we planned to do that, and then we drove home. So we went and saw that. Madison is a huge Rey fan, and I like the character too. It was interesting to see the ending of this trilogy. I've only watched the latest trilogy of Star Wars movies once, and Star Wars is not my bag. They're fine entertainment. I'm a Star Trek guy. I don't understand the huge appeal of Star Wars, but whatever. I enjoy things a lot of people don't like, so I don't care. But what a jumbled mess this was. There was a lot to it. I'm sure you could walk away from the movie going, "Yep, that was a Star Wars movie. Got lots of Star Wars stuff and lightsabers and fights and familiar tropes." But that was my problem with it. This trilogy has been, except for the second movie, and I know that's controversial to many. It seems like J.J. Abrams is just trying to remake the original trilogy in many ways. So I don't really appreciate that. I want things to go in different directions, and that's why I liked the second movie much better. So at least there they were trying to delve into different places, areas, characters. So anyway, it was what it was. And the first movie we saw, however, was Frozen 2. And I think we did that Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe, I think it was Wednesday. So the day, New Year's Eve. I think it was New Year's Eve we did that. So we went in the morning and we took Hadley to that movie. She has already seen it. My daughter took her several weeks ago to go see Frozen 2. But, me and my family wanted to see it as well. We are huge fans of the first movie. But we wanted to go to a movie with Hadley. And, so I spent a good quarter of my time not watching the movie. I'd look over at Hadley where she was sitting to see her reaction. And I kept hearing her. She was so sweet. She wasn't talking out loud, but she was whisper talking loudly. And it was so adorable. And at one point there is a bit of a scary moment if you're 2.5 years old, and she basically crawled into her mom's lap and watched the rest of the movie there, which I thought was just adorable. I wish it were me that she was sitting with, but whatever, I guess mom takes precedent over grandpa, whatever. But those were movies that we watched. We did watch some other things, like Solo on TV. I don't know why I included Solo in the movie segment, because I have this other segment, for TV stuff, which includes TV movies. Maybe because those are actually made for TV movies. Yeah, that's why I did that. But anyway, so there's that. I'll go to those later. Let's talk about some podcasts. So on the way down to Boise, which is about a 5.5 hour drive for me, this is the thing I do now. Especially whenever we had to travel in 2 cars because we had to transport a lot of presents to Hadley and the family. So I drove my car, Kitter was in hers, and the entire time I was driving down, I was listening to podcasts. So glorious 5.5 hours-ish of listening to podcasts, and the same coming back. So I caught up on a lot of my podcasts, so it was great. Not all of these that I'm going to mention were during that time frame. Some of them came after we got back, but here are a few podcasts that I want to highlight that I've listened to that I quite enjoyed. I'll start off with, since I just talked about the new Star Wars movie, Comic Geek Speak, episode 1757. They did a movie review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I always enjoy the geeks getting together and discussing movies like this, geek-related movies. That was a fun episode, especially because I listened to that basically a day or two after. No, it was the day we left. That's right. So it was the same day we saw the movie. So that was nice. Let's see. On the way down to Boise, I listened to the Inglorious Trexperts. I mentioned Mark A. Altman as the author of the oral history book, but they had a 2-part episode. I listened to one on the way down, I think one on the way back, but it's the 51 greatest Star Trek moments. These are not the greatest episodes or anything. It was moments, and I quite enjoyed that. That was a nice different take on that franchise, on that property. So if you're a Star Trek fan, I think I'm pretty sure I've recommended this podcast. Definitely listen to that and their companion, the 4:30 movie, which I think I spotlighted on my last Gutters episode. So. Also, I want to highlight Every Little Thing. This is from Gimlet Media, mostly because, a couple of reasons. One is you learn so much about the topics. Basically, it's a trivia show about very specific topics, and they dive deep into stuff, folks. It's really great. It's funny. It's enjoyable. Host Flora Lichtman is a delight. Her puns are the best. I don't know, the way that they present it on the show is like she's talking to someone and they're talking on the phone. These people are not in studio. But the way they have put the show together, it makes it sound like she's making these puns up on the fly. And I'm like, how can you be so quick-witted? And I'm sure there are many people who are like that. I'm not like that. So I appreciate when people can do that. I hope to never, maybe I should call in to every little thing and ask about this. But I'm really curious if they add those after the conversations, in post-production to jazz up the show a bit. Maybe I don't want to know. That would ruin the illusion for me, but I really enjoy the puns. The Never Stay Dead podcast, which I continually talk about here, had an episode, Damien and Matt talk, the episode was titled Grappling with a Decade in Comic Books. And that was a very interesting conversation. As always, with the Never Stay Dead podcast, as I'm listening to it, I wish I was part of the conversation with them. Because they were saying things like, wait a minute, I don't agree with that. Or there were other things were like, yep, you guys are right. So, quite enjoyed that topic. It's funny because I was thinking about doing something similar. So I don't know if I will do it now because they did it, and did it much better than I would. So, we'll see. Maybe I will. I have plans, guys, because this is, 2020 is my 10th anniversary of doing the podcast. So I have some ideas about things I would like to do. So stay tuned. My good buddy Peter Rios, on his The Daily Rios show, this is episode 461. He, shortly after the New Year's, did a comic book collector resolutions episode. And I was very pleased to hear that I do most of those things that he recommended as resolutions. Go listen to that if you're a comic book collector, reader, fan, and maybe try some of these out. The one thing that I don't do is read a comic book a day. I kind of batch read, but I'm kind of doing it. In a sense, and not just for fodder for the podcast, it's just because I have a ton of comic books and trades that are waiting to be read, and I don't want to wait until I'm nearly dead before I could get to them. So I'm trying to do more reading, for enjoyment, but, and also to fuel the podcast fires. But, yeah. And there's a bunch of other ones there too, that, people should take to heart. And I will as well. I want to congratulate MJ from the Nerd Goggles podcast. She reached episode 50 with an episode right before the end of 2019 where she talked about the book Hot Dog Girl. I've always enjoyed MJ's podcast. And then I had the privilege last year of talking with her about some Birds of Prey comics. And I hope that we can get together again and talk because it was very delightful just, to talk with her about that kind of stuff. So congrats to MJ on episode 50. And then finally, a spotlight on Meanwhile at the podcast, with, George. He had over this holiday season, he had some people guest co-hosting because Rodney and Kristen were not available. One of those was Damien, the aforementioned Damien, Sleepy Reader 666. So he had a conversation with Damien, and that was delightful because I've known Damien now for a few years. I've even was a guest in his home. And I found out stuff about Damien that I did not know. And that includes listening or watching his YouTube channel off and on over the years. So that was really cool when you find out new things about friends. So I quite enjoyed that conversation. So those are like I said, podcast spotlights that I wanted to give you. Some TV stuff. Over the holidays, especially when, like me, you are away from work. I took a week off between Christmas and New Year's. Well, over New Year's. You know what I mean. Anyway, we watched some stuff on TV. including a few Christmas-related movies. And George from the Meanwhile the podcast will appreciate this if he listens. We watched, like I said, my dad's. We watched this movie Snowed In which a pair, this man and woman who are working at this online magazine, as I recall, and they are basically competing for a promotion, I guess. And they have to go. They have to go cover this thing. And anyway, because of the weather, they end up getting their plane touches down elsewhere, and they end up staying in this inn, which may or may not be run by Mr. and Mrs. Claus. Wink, wink. And of course, they fall in love. So that was delightful, I guess. It was certainly better acted and was, I think, a somewhat better story than the next movie I'm going to talk about, Christmas TV movie. This was the movie Christmas Perfection. And the reason Kitra and I watched this movie is, so she was perusing all of the Christmas movies available on Netflix, I think, or Hulu, I forget which one. But she found this one, and it was set in Ireland. And maybe long-time listeners will know, my wife and I, in 2015, I think, we went to Ireland for a week, and I absolutely fell in love with that country and want to retire there. Anyway, anything that is set in Ireland, showcases that country or places in that country, I'm always interested in. So of course we sat down and watched it. Ooh, boy, what a horrible, horrible movie. Basically, the plot is around this young woman whose life, her parents, her mom was Irish, her dad was not. They fought a lot and divorced when the girl was young. And I guess because of that, the young woman now feels like the only thing that she can control, she's a control freak, the only thing that she can control fully is Christmas. And she's very rigid and structured. She has this guy who's been her best friend since they were little. I think you can guess where this is going. Anyway, so she puts out this village, this Irish Christmas village. And so I guess from the stories that her mom told her about Christmas time in Ireland, she grew up thinking that Christmas in Ireland was perfect, I guess. And so, like I said, she has this little village that she puts out, and one of the pieces ends up getting broken. So she goes to buy a replacement, and she goes to the shop that was not there before. I'm not remembering some of the plot points here, but anyway, she meets this shopkeeper who's a little strange, who sells her this little, not only the building that got broke, but this little figurine that looks suspiciously like her. So she takes it home and puts herself into this village that she's now completed, and then the next day she wakes up and she's in Ireland. And not only is she in Ireland, but her parents are there, and her parents are not divorced, and her dad is now Irish. And as she discovers, every day is Christmas there. And so she wakes up, she gets hot chocolate, her mom makes Christmas breakfast, they do presents, and then she meets up with this work crush who is her boyfriend. And here's one of the things that just drove me crazy. The actor playing this boyfriend was doing, quote unquote, an Irish accent. It was horrible. Everybody except the mom and a few other characters, who were doing Irish accents. That was the worst Irish accents I've ever heard in any media. But yeah, it was bad. And so they would go on this ride. They'd go to this Milner, who is, and they showed the name of the place, and I forget the name of it. It started with an A, but I looked it up. That's an actual village in Ireland. And so is that Milner. That's an actual place that you can, I think I've seen that Milner spotlighted in a Samantha Brown episode. Then there's other activities, but then she wakes up again the next day and the same exact activities happen. So it's like Groundhog Day meets a Hallmark Christmas movie. And eventually the childhood friend, the guy, he gets trapped in there because he meets up with this witch who gives him the figurine that looks like him. And because of his intrusion into this, the very rigidly structured days in this Christmas perfect Irish village get out of whack. And then they have a fight, and he ends up getting sucked into this portal, and he ends up back in the real world. And anyway, then the movie takes a half an hour to reiterate the Groundhog Day-ness of the plot, and the main character very glacially slowly realizes that she doesn't like this fantasy land that she's somehow gotten herself into. It just goes on far too long, and the writing is not great. We do get to see a tiny bit of the Irish countryside, assuming, of course, they actually filmed there. Besides the where the Milner was. But yeah, it was not a good movie. And I've spent far too much time talking about a movie I did not enjoy. But it was so bad it was laughable. Right before we went down to Boise, my wife and I started watching A Christmas Carol. This was on Hulu. It was originally presented on FX. This is which I had heard about just maybe days prior that this was a thing, and I'm a huge Christmas Carol fan. One of the traditions in my household, because of me, because I insist on it, is that we watch A Christmas Carol, and we usually watch the Patrick Stewart version of the movie. But I'm always interested in watching other versions of A Christmas Carol. And so apparently they redid the story. This stars Guy Pearce as Scrooge. And boy, did they take liberties with this story. It has the basic elements of A Christmas Carol that I believe everyone is very familiar with. But boy, they dive into some things about the characters and the plot that are not present in the original text, as far as I know, or recall, because I have read it. I have read Dickens' story. So, but I really enjoyed a lot of those things. There was a point, though, Kidra and I had to stop watching the film at one point. There was something that Scrooge does to Bob Cratchit's wife that made us turn off the movie. But then over the course of the next few days, that's when we're traveling to Boise to go see Brittany, and we're just too busy doing stuff, so we end up not watching it. But over the course of that time, despite the fact that it was like, okay, I should back up. If they went one way or the other with that particular element of the story, and they went to the really bad side of that element, then it was like we were done. We did not want to watch this movie, but we kept talking about it with people, Brittany and some other folks as well. But anyway, the long story short, we decided we needed to find out what happened with it. Plus, like I said, I was really enjoying it. They spent a lot of time on the Ghost of Christmas Past, played by Andy Serkis. That was interesting. Who the Ghost of Christmas Present was a total change. I won't say who that character was in this, but not at all like the original text. And then the Ghost of Christmas Future was sufficiently creepy in a very different way than the usual way in which that character is presented. And I actually really liked how Scrooge's turn happens in this movie as opposed to, or compared to, the others, even the Patrick Stewart one. I've always felt like Scrooge's turn to being a, quote unquote good person is just too easy. He doesn't do enough or regret enough, or, something along those lines where it just doesn't fully gel with me. But this one was a little bit better. Not quite there, but a little bit better. So if you're a fan of A Christmas Carol, and you want a bit of a darker turn with it, I recommend this movie. Go check it out. Also, since I'm talking about stuff we finished watching in Boise with Brittany, she also introduced us to. We were bored one afternoon. Afternoon, doesn't matter. And she introduced me to the Bucket List family on YouTube. Now, if you've not heard of the Bucket List family, it's this family. They got 3 kids, and basically in 2015, this couple, along with their 2 young kids, as it says on their website, in August 2015, when we decided to sell everything and leave home for a journey around the world together. And so then they would go to all of these different places and spotlight that area. And sometimes, and I've only seen a handful of episodes, but sometimes their interactions with the locals, mostly it's about their adventures. Like one time they got into a cage where sharks were swimming around, and you get to see the parents and the kids experience that together. So that kind of stuff. They are huge. They have product endorsements. I'm assuming they get gifts, free stuff from hotels and airlines, and et cetera, to highlight these products and services, because they are, I guess it's a thing now. They are influencers online on YouTube and Instagram. So, but it's very charming, because it's really about, a lot of it is about the kids and their experiences, and the kids are just damn cute, especially the newest member of the family. He's just adorable. But the older kid, the daughter is just freaking adorable too. So. That was fun to watch those, and so I'm going to have to return to those, because we watched I think they were in Ireland one time. We basically started watching the episodes in which there was one for Iceland, and for places in which my wife and I are interested in going to, and so that was kind of fun to see those areas. And I'm a big fan of watching travel shows for places that I'm interested in. Especially if they highlight Ireland or Scotland. And now Iceland, curiously enough. My wife has got me interested in going to Iceland, which, considering my hatred of the cold and snow, seems rather curious, but it looks beautiful. And then finally, for TV stuff, my wife, just a few days ago, was sampling a bunch of new shows. She's trying to decide which new show should she start watching, which is also curious, because she already has a ton of shows in which she has not finished those. But she does that sometimes. She'll just be watching something for a while. And I'm like, okay, I want something new. And this is one of those times. And I happen to be I'm working a lot at night. I'll get to that in a second. Even at home, I'm working. And I sat down because I didn't want to be doing it in my office or at the kitchen table. I wanted to be near my wife. So I go downstairs where the TV is and sit on the couch near her. And I'm supposed to be working on my work laptop. And my wife puts on the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And basically, I didn't get any work done for that next hour because, oh my God, what a great show. First of all, I've been meaning to watch this show for a while. I've heard it's really good. I think this is on Amazon Prime, right? Anyway, I've heard it's really good. I like shows that are set in the 50s, 60s, especially the 60s time frame, especially if they do the setting very well. You know, the way things look, the way people talk, you know, that kind of stuff. The cultural references. So that's a draw for me. And so I get that in this show, but then also the characters are just like amazing. Mrs. Maisel, of course, is just phenomenal and so quick-witted. I'm watching this going, why do I love this so much? This is written so great, and then I realize, oh, this is by the Palladinos of Gilmore Girls fame. I think that's right, Gilmore Girls. Amy Sherman Palladino. Anyway. It reminded me a lot of Gilmore Girls, and so of course I can see the through line between those characters, those two sets of characters. Anyway, we've only watched the first episode. I can't wait to get back to it. Highly recommended if you enjoy good characters and in a setting that is probably unfamiliar to most of us of my age or younger, of course. Did I mention I'm 51 now, guys? All right, finally, I guess I'm ending the episode on a kind of a dour note. Like I just mentioned, I am working a whole lot. This week, I put in over 50 hours at work, which may not seem like a lot to some people, but it's a lot for me. I usually just work 40-ish hours, but because of the added responsibilities I now have managing this other group. I've been spending a lot of my work day dealing with that stuff. And then how do I explain this? That group, sprints. So in agile development, for anybody who is familiar with that, or if you want to go look it up, you do these sprints. So they do 3-week sprints where they're focused on very specific tasks for those 3 weeks. And that requires a lot of monitoring and adjustments, and that's part of what I'm doing now. And then as we get to the end of a sprint, we have to plan the next one. So what's the scope of work for that next 3 weeks for this team of 3? And with the constantly shifting release dates of these projects that the team is involved with, that can and then add on top of that all of the stuff that was unplanned that just gets inserted because, it's an emergency, it's got to be done now, happens all the time. It makes it very difficult to plan and maintain and execute. So I'm constantly dealing with that. And like I said, we're planning for the next sprint. And so there's a lot of things that I have to look at, examine, ask questions about, and then help the team be successful in completing the tasks that they have to complete. Oh boy, it's been a lot of work recently, and I'm not liking it. I just have to say, I'm not liking it. It's taking time away from my family. It's taking time away from reading comics and taking notes so I can do more podcast episodes about stuff. Basically, I get done in the evenings, and I'm just mentally fried. I'm exhausted from the day. And then if I have to do work at night, it's like, I don't want to do anything. And so I've been so tired. I haven't even been exercising every day like I'm supposed to. So I just need to suck it up and get it done. Right. Anyway, but that's work right now. Not my favorite, thing going. But, it pays the bills, and eventually I can retire and get to all those books that I mentioned that I need to read. Well, that's it. That's been my life for the last month-ish. Like I said at the top of the show, I hope everyone had a great holiday. I wish everyone a successful and wonderful new year. I hope we don't all die from potential wars and stuff. Why am I going dark again? I need to stop. Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great new year, and I wish you the best. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.